There is a pattern in your life right now that repeats before collapse. Not a vague sense that something is off. Not a general feeling that you have been here before. It is a specific sequence of events, decisions, and silences that your life has already run through at least once. This has already been happening. You just did not have the words for it yet. And because you do not have the words, the pattern keeps moving, quietly, under everything. Welcome. If this is your first time here, this channel exists for one reason: to show you what is already happening in your life in a way that makes it impossible to unsee. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing clearly. Today we are looking at 6 patterns that appear before major life collapse. Not after, before. Stay until pattern number 4. That is the one most people find impossible to explain away. And the final pattern number 6 does not just change how you see your past. It changes how you see right now. Let's begin. Pattern number 1. You already know something is wrong. You have been pretending you do not. There is a feeling you have woken up with recently. It lives in your stomach. Heavy, knotty, slightly sick before you have even opened your eyes all the way. You tell yourself it is just stress. You tell yourself you're tired. You tell yourself that everyone feels this way sometimes, and you're probably just being too sensitive or too dramatic or too much. Most people assume that feeling is anxiety. It is not. It is information. Researchers at Harvard Medical School and Johns Hopkins have spent years studying what they call the gut-brain connection, the direct communication line between your digestive system and your central nervous system. What they found is that your gut processes emotional data before your conscious mind does. Before you can name what is wrong, your body has already logged it. The stomach tightening, the throat that feels like you're constantly swallowing something down, the exhaustion that sleep does not fix. What this means for you is this: that heaviness in your chest when you wake up is not random. It is not weakness. It is your nervous system sending up a signal that your conscious mind is not yet ready to receive. The body knows. It has known for a while. You are not imagining it. You are receiving it. And that is not even the part that changes things. Pattern number 2. Your language has already started to change. Pay attention to this one, because the shift is subtle. And it happens before most people realize anything is seriously wrong. There's a phrase you have probably said recently, maybe out loud, maybe only inside your head. It is a quiet little surrender dressed up as wisdom. It is what it is. Or this one: I will deal with it after the weekend. Or this one: I am fine, just a bit stressed. Nothing a drink will not sort. Most people hear those phrases and assume they are coping. They are not. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania spent decades studying what happens to people who are repeatedly exposed to negative outcomes they feel they cannot change. He called it learned helplessness. What he found was that after a certain point, people stop trying to intervene in their own lives. They do not do it consciously. They just begin to speak and move like someone who has already accepted the outcome. That is what those phrases are. They're the sound of a person who has stopped expecting things to change. What this means for you is this: the moment your language stops saying, I need to sort this, and starts saying it is what it is, that is not acceptance. That is the moment the pattern accelerates. Not because you are weak, but because your nervous system has learned that effort does not change the outcome. And it is wrong. Notice what you have been saying, not just to other people, to yourself. But what comes next is the pattern most people never identify, because it is not something you say. It is something you refuse to see. Pattern number 3. You are watching someone else do exactly what you are doing. This one is uncomfortable. Sit with it. You have a person in your life, a friend, a sister, maybe someone you're close to, and you have watched them walk into the same disaster more than once. The same type of relationship that hollows them out. The same chaotic financial situation. The same job that treats them like furniture. And every time, they sit across from you and they say the same thing. No, but this time it is different. And you can see clearly, with the vision that only distance gives, that it is not different. That they're using the exact same playbook that ruined them 18 months ago. That the names have changed and the city might have changed, but the architecture of the collapse is identical. Most people assume that they are the one doing the watching. They are not. Someone in your life is watching you. This is not an accusation. It is a pattern. Carl Jung called these recurring life structures a confrontation with the unconscious, meaningful repetitions that carry information we are not yet willing to receive consciously. The pattern does not stop because we ignore it. It escalates until it is loud enough to be impossible to deny. What this means for you is this. The clarity you feel when you watch someone you love repeat their cycle, that clarity is available to you right now about your own life. You already have the vision. You're just not pointing it in the right direction yet. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. Pattern number 4. You know exactly when it started. You have been calling it bad luck. This is the one. Think about the last time something in your life collapsed. A relationship that ended badly. A job that fell apart. A situation that felt like it came out of absolutely nowhere. Now, think further back. 6 months before. What small decisions were you making? Most people assume collapse is sudden. It is not. It is a sequence. A predictable, traceable, specific sequence of small decisions made from comfort, avoidance, and a deeply human preference for the familiar, even when the familiar is destroying you. Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize for his work on human cognition, spent years studying why we miss warning signs in real time. What he found is that we are not blind to those signs. We see them. We just assign them the wrong meaning. We call the smoke alarm background noise. We call the pattern coincidence. We call the trajectory bad luck. But bad luck does not have a fingerprint. Patterns do. What this means for you is this. The thing you've been calling a rough patch, or bad timing, or the universe being against you, it has a structure. It started somewhere specific. And if you trace it back honestly, you'll find a moment where you knew, where your body sent up the signal. With a quiet, gray Sunday feeling landed in your chest, and you told it you were probably just tired. You were not tired. You were at the beginning of the sequence again. Sigmund Freud called this repetition compulsion the deeply unconscious tendency to recreate the emotional dynamics we know, even when we know they cause us pain, because familiarity reads to the nervous system as safety. Not because you are broken, but because your nervous system prefers the pain it recognizes over the uncertainty it does not. It is not bad luck. It is the track being laid again. And what comes next is the sign most people find hardest to explain away. Because this one does not just happen around you. This one happens through you. Pattern number 5. You have done this before, and part of you knew you were doing it. There's a version of you, maybe in your mid-20s, maybe later, who sat in the wreckage of something and had a thought that felt almost too honest to voice. The common denominator in all of this is me, not in the cruel, self-destructive way, not as punishment, as observation. The same type of relationship ended the same way. The same pattern at work played out the same way. The same financial spiral started the same way. And from somewhere quiet and cold and clear, a part of you watched it happen and thought I have been here before. Most people assume that recognition means they should have stopped it. It is not. It means the pattern is visible now. And that is everything. What this means for you is this. The moment you recognize the common denominator is not a verdict. It is a doorway. Marcus Aurelius wrote something so simple, almost disappears. If you have taken a fall, come back again. Not as a motivational instruction, as a description of what is always possible. You do not have to earn the recognition. You just have to stop arguing with it. This is the part most people miss. The tracks were already laid. You did not choose to crash. But you can choose to step off the line before the train runs out of track. Pattern number 6. The thing you're pretending is small is the thing. Every single pattern we have looked at today circles back to this. There is something in your life right now that you are minimizing. You know what it is. It is not the big, obvious thing you're already working on. It is the other one, the one underneath, the one you've been calling a rough patch. It is what it is. I will sort it later. I am fine. Those are not casual phrases. Those are the sound of a person standing at the beginning of a sequence they have run before and choosing, quietly, to begin it again. But here is what is also true. You're watching this video, which means something in you has already decided it is time to stop. Not to be fixed, not to be saved, just to stop pretending you do not already know. I want to speak directly to someone watching this. Maybe things collapsed recently. Maybe it was years ago and you have been quietly rebuilding ever since. But there was a moment, you know, the one, where everything you had been quietly dreading finally arrived all at once. And the part that hurt the most was not the collapse itself. It was the realization that some part of you had seen it coming. That the stomach dread in the mornings had been real. That the quiet voice you told yourself was cynicism had been clarity, that the smoke alarm had been going off for weeks and you had been taking the batteries out. I'm not going to tell you that was nothing. The research is not a replacement for what that felt like. It is just a way of saying what you experienced had a structure. It was not chaos. It was not fate. It was not proof that you're broken or cursed or simply someone who does not get to have good things. It was a pattern, and patterns can be interrupted. You were right to pay attention. You were not wrong to feel it. The body that woke up with dread was not lying to you. The quiet voice was not paranoia. The pattern is not your identity. It is just the route you have been taking, and you could take a different one. There is a pattern in your life right now, not a verdict, a signal, and you are already hearing it differently than you were 10 minutes ago. Before you scroll, think about the one pattern you have been pretending not to see, not the obvious one, the real one. Drop just one word in the comments. I read every one.